He shouldn't have been there. Not in her office. Not with his hands on her waist. Not with his mouth inches from her ear while the entire company pretended not to see it. I definitely shouldn't have walked in at that exact second. But I did. And what she whispered next. It wasn't fear. It wasn't panic. It wasn't even anger. It was my name. Soft. Broken. Like I was the only person in the room who could stop what was about to happen. I'm Daniel Wright, single dad, financial analyst. Professional background guy. For 4 years, I mastered staying invisible. Because invisible men don't get hurt. Invisible men don't lose everything. But the day my boss sat on my lap at the beach, the day she looked at me like I was the only solid thing in her world, that was the day invisibility stopped being an option. And when her ex-husband locked the office door behind him, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't about helping anymore. This was war. And the question wasn't whether I was ready. The question was, how far was I willing to go to protect her? It didn't start at the office. It started on a Saturday morning when I was supposed to be alone. Lily was with my parents, my 6-year-old dinosaur expert, my whole world. When she's gone, the apartment feels too quiet, like someone turned down the volume on life. I drove to Clearwater Beach because routine was suffocating me. I didn't know she'd be there. Morgan Reed, CEO of Reed & Associates. My boss, 43, divorced, untouchable. At work, she wore power suits like armor. At the beach, she looked like she hadn't slept in days. No makeup, no boardroom steel in her eyes, just fear. And then he appeared. Victor Reed, tall, controlled, the kind of man who smiles with his mouth but not his eyes. I didn't know the details yet. I didn't need to. The way she flinched when he got too close told me everything. "This is my boyfriend," she said suddenly. Her hand grabbed my arm. She was shaking. I had 1 second to decide whether to step in or step away. I stepped in, wrapped my arm around her waist, looked him in the eye, and lied like it was the truth. "He needs to leave," I said. Victor didn't like that, but he left. Not because he was afraid, because he was planning. That was the beginning. The next part happened 3 days later. Morgan called me at 9:42 p.m. Her voice didn't sound like the woman who negotiated million-dollar contracts. It sounded small. "He's outside," she whispered. Outside her house. Watching. I drove. I don't remember red lights. I don't remember traffic. I remember the sound of glass breaking when I arrived. I remember seeing him in her bedroom. I remember something inside me snapping. He went to jail that night. But jail doesn't cure obsession. It just delays it. The real shift happened after court. After the restraining order. After the news cameras. After she kissed me outside the courthouse like she wasn't afraid of being seen anymore. I thought that was the climax. I was wrong. Because 3 weeks later, on a company retreat to a private beach property owned by one of our investors, Morgan walked toward me in a simple white sundress. No executives, no lawyers, no security, just ocean and sky. And before I could say a word, she sat down on my lap right there in the sand, in front of half the company. The board members froze. The junior analysts pretended to check their phones, and Morgan leaned close to my ear. Her lips brushed my skin. Her voice trembled. "He's here," she whispered. Not panic, not hysteria, just cold clarity. I didn't move, didn't react, didn't let anyone see what those words did to me. "Where?" I murmured back. "Parking lot, watching." My body went still. My daughter was at my parents' house again, safe. Morgan wasn't. Victor had violated the restraining order twice already. But this was different. This wasn't a mistake. This was a message. He wanted to show her something, that he could still reach her. Anywhere. Morgan tightened her fingers on my shirt. "They won't believe me if I panic," she breathed. "They'll say I'm unstable, emotional, dramatic." Her reputation mattered. The company mattered. She had built it from nothing. And I understood something in that moment. She wasn't sitting on my lap for comfort. She was using me as a shield. And she trusted me to hold the line. So I smiled, like this was normal, like my boss sitting in my lap was the most natural thing in the world. I slid one arm around her waist, stood up slowly, carried her with me, and whispered back, "Then let's make him watch." The first rule of survival is simple. Don't let the predator see you're afraid. So I didn't look at the parking lot. I didn't scan the horizon. I didn't tense. I laughed. Like Morgan, sitting on my lap was reckless and romantic instead of tactical. The board members stared. The junior analysts whispered, "Good. Let them." Morgan's fingers were still gripping my shirt, not like a woman flirting, like a woman anchoring herself. "Walk toward the water," she murmured, barely moving her lips. I did. Slow steps, casual. The ocean breeze carried salt and sunscreen and tension so thick I could taste it. "He's by the black SUV," she whispered. "Passenger side, sunglasses." I didn't turn my head. If Victor wanted a reaction, he wasn't getting one. Instead, I pulled Morgan closer and said, loud enough for anyone nearby to hear, "You always steal the spotlight, don't you?" Quote. She almost smiled. Almost. Occupational hazard. We reached the shoreline. The waves rolled in, steady and indifferent. "Security?" I asked under my breath. "On sight, but they won't act unless he approaches." "Of course. A restraining order doesn't stop a man who believes he owns you. It just gives him rules to bend." Morgan's breathing was uneven. "He wants me to feel small," she said quietly, "like I'm still his." "You're not," I said. She looked at me then. Not like a CEO. Not like a woman calculating risk. Like someone asking a deeper question. "Are you sure?" Before I could answer, applause erupted behind us. I turned slightly. One of the investors had raised a champagne glass. "To love in the workplace," he joked. "Finally, some excitement around here." Laughter followed. They thought this was romance. They didn't know it was containment. Morgan leaned into me. "Don't escalate," she said. "If you confront him, he wins." I hated that she was right. Instead, I did something Victor wouldn't expect. I kissed her, not rushed, not desperate, steady, deliberate. A message. You don't scare us. When I pulled back, I caught it. Movement. The black SUV door slammed. Victor stepped out. No sunglasses now, just rage. He didn't approach. He stood there, watching. Me touching what he thought belonged to him. Morgan's pulse hammered under my hand. "He's going to do something," she whispered. "Not here." "You don't know that." I did know something. Predators prefer isolation, and this beach was crowded with witnesses, cameras, phones. Investors worth more than his father's influence. Victor stared for a full minute. Then he got back in the SUV and drove away. Morgan's body sagged slightly. "He won't stop," she said. "No," I agreed. "He won't." We stood there longer than necessary, playing the part. When we finally walked back toward the group, the air had shifted. Curiosity. Speculation. Judgment. I could feel it. Morgan could too. In her world, image was currency, and I had just become very visible. One board member approached us. "Daniel," he said carefully, "this is unexpected." Morgan answered before I could. "It's intentional." Quote. Her voice was calm, controlled, the CEO mask sliding back into place. "We value transparency at Reed and Associates," she continued, "including in our personal lives." The message was clear. Back off. The man nodded, uneasy, and retreated. When the retreat ended, Morgan didn't ask. She got into my car. Not her BMW. Mine. The Honda Civic, with the faint smell of crayons in the back seat. We drove in silence for 5 minutes. Then she exhaled. "He knew you'd be here. That's not a coincidence." "No." She turned toward me. "Daniel, he doesn't want me back." "I know. He wants to erase you." There it was, the real threat, not control, replacement. Victor could tolerate her independence. He couldn't tolerate her choosing someone else. "He'll try to discredit you," she continued. "Make it look like you manipulated me, that this is some opportunistic relationship." "I don't care." "I do," she snapped, then softer. "Your career, your daughter." "Lily." The thought of Victor anywhere near my child made my grip tighten on the steering wheel. "He won't touch her," I said quietly. "You can't promise that." "I can promise this," I replied. "He won't win." Morgan studied me like she was recalculating something. "Why are you still here?" she asked. "You could walk away, say this crossed a line. Protect your job." I didn't answer immediately, because the honest answer scared me. Finally, I said, "My daughter draws people who matter." Morgan frowned slightly. "She drew you." Silence filled the car. "She doesn't know me," Morgan whispered. "She knows I care." Morgan's eyes shimmered. "That's dangerous," she said. "Yes." She looked forward again. "We need a strategy." "There's no strategy that fixes obsession," I replied. "No, but there's one that weakens it." She pulled out her phone. "I'm going public." "With what?" "With us." I blinked. "What?" "If he thinks secrecy gives him power, we remove secrecy." "You want to announce we're together?" She nodded slowly. "Not as scandal, as fact. That could destroy your reputation. It could protect you." That stopped me. "You're not sacrificing your company for me." "I'm not sacrificing anything," she said firmly. "I'm choosing." There was a difference. I pulled into her driveway. Security gates closing behind us. She didn't get out immediately. Instead, she reached across the console and took my hand. Her grip was steady now. "Daniel," she said softly, "if this gets worse, if he escalates, I need to know you won't do something reckless." I almost smiled. Too late. "I won't be reckless," I said. "I'll be deliberate." She searched my face. "That's what scares me." Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She didn't open it. Neither did I. We already knew what it would say. "This isn't over. It never will be." Morgan looked at me again. Not as her employee. Not as her shield. As her partner. "Stay tonight," she said. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't seductive. It was survival. And I nodded. Because walking away had stopped being an option the moment she whispered my name. Staying the night wasn't romantic. It was tactical. That's what I told myself while I locked the guest room door behind me. Morgan insisted I take the bedroom. I refused. She needed control in her own house. I needed sightlines. So I slept on the couch. Or tried to. Every sound felt amplified. The hum of the refrigerator. The tick of the security panel. Wind brushing against glass. At 1:12 a.m., my phone vibrated. Unknown number. I didn't open it immediately. I already knew the pattern. He wanted reaction. I waited 30 seconds, then opened it. "She's making you visible." That was it. No threat. No curse. Just a statement. I screenshot it. Forwarded it to Morgan's lawyer. Then I stood up and checked every door again. When I passed her bedroom, I heard it. Soft movement. I knocked once. "You okay?" Silence. Then the click of the lock. She opened the door halfway. Her face was pale. "I had the same text," she said. "Of course you did." "He wants us paranoid," I said. "It's working." She stepped back. "Come in." I hesitated, not because I didn't want to, because lines matter. Power dynamics matter. She was my boss. I was her employee. Even if we were something else now. Even if she had kissed me on a beach in front of the board. Even if I loved her. There had to be clarity. I stepped into the room but didn't close the door. "Sit," she said quietly, not commanding. Asking. She was on the edge of the bed, knees pulled slightly inward, like she was holding herself together. "I keep thinking he's going to burn everything down," she said. "Reputation, company, you. He can try. You don't understand." "I understand enough." She looked up at me. "No, Daniel. You don't understand what men like him do when they lose." That word lingered. Lose. To Victor, this wasn't divorce. It wasn't love. It was territory. And I was standing on it. She swallowed. "If he can't intimidate me, he'll isolate me." "How?" "Scandal, investigation, accusations. He'll make it look like I coerced you." That hit differently. Because in the wrong light, CEO, younger employee, sudden relationship. It could look ugly, even if every choice was mutual. I don't regret us, I said. Neither do I. But we handle this clean. Quote. She studied me. What does that mean? It means we disclose to HR, to the board. We step out of direct reporting. Silence. You'd transfer, she asked, if that's what it takes. She shook her head immediately. No, you worked too hard to get here. I worked hard to build a stable life for my daughter, not to chase titles. The room softened. Her eyes did too. You'd really give that up? For clarity, yes. She exhaled slowly. I don't want you to sacrifice for me. I'm not sacrificing. I paused. I'm choosing. She almost smiled at that. You stole my line. You said it first. The tension eased just slightly, but fear was still there. And then her phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't unknown. It was the board chairman. Midnight call. That's never good, she answered on speaker. Morgan. His tone was clipped, controlled. We received information tonight regarding your relationship with Daniel. That was fast, too fast. Victor was already moving. And, she replied evenly, and we need to discuss conflict of interest concerns first thing in the morning. I plan to. Good. Because if this turns into a harassment claim, the company will protect itself. There it was, protect itself. Not her, not us. The company. Morgan's spine straightened. There is no harassment, she said. We'll see. The call ended. Silence filled the room. He's feeding them, I said. Yes. He wants you distracted. Yes. He wants me gone. She looked at me then. And that's exactly why you're not leaving. There was steel in her voice now. The CEO had returned. We do this clean, she continued. Formal disclosure. Immediate restructuring. Documentation of consent. That word mattered. Consent. Clear. Mutual. Unequivocal. No gray, I said. No gray, she agreed. We were both thinking the same thing. Victor would try to twist this into something predatory. He would try to turn her into the villain. Into the powerful woman who exploited a subordinate. He underestimated one thing. Me. I'll sign whatever HR needs, I said. Statement. Timeline. Affidavit. She nodded. I hate that it has to be this way. So do I. But hiding gives him power. Yes. We locked eyes. This wasn't about romance anymore. It was about structure. Foundation. Building something that couldn't be easily destroyed. A loud knock hit the front door downstairs. We both froze. One knock, then two. Slow. Deliberate. Morgan's face drained of color. He's not stupid enough to come back tonight, I whispered. Another knock. I moved toward the hallway. Checked the security monitor. Police cruiser. 2 officers. Relief hit hard. I opened the door. Mr. Wright? Yes. We received a report of suspicious activity in the area. Black SUV matching earlier description was seen circling. Circling, he wasn't done. Did he approach? The officer asked. No. Stay inside. We'll patrol. They left. I locked the door again. Morgan was standing at the top of the stairs. He's playing with us, she said quietly. Trying to exhaust you. Yes. She walked down slowly, came close enough that I could feel her breath. Daniel, if this ruins you. It won't. You can't know that. I stepped closer, lowered my voice. I survived losing my marriage. I survived rebuilding from nothing. I can survive gossip. Her eyes softened. It's not gossip I'm worried about. I know. Silence stretched between us, heavy, honest. I need to say something, she said. Okay. If at any point you feel pressured or exposed or like I'm asking you to carry more than you should, you walk. That's not how this works. It is for me, she insisted. No, I said gently. It's not. She waited. Because I'm not here out of pressure, I continued. I'm here because when Lily asked me if you'd leave like her mom did, I realized something. Morgan's breath caught. I don't want to teach my daughter that good men disappear when things get hard. Her composure cracked slightly. That's not fair, she whispered. It's honest. She stepped into me then, not dramatic, not desperate, just close. I don't want to disappear, she said against my chest. Then don't. She looked up. Stay, quote. I already said I would. She shook her head. No, stay through the fallout, through the restructuring, through the headlines. I didn't hesitate. I'm not leaving. Not because I was fearless, but because I was done being invisible. Upstairs, the bedroom light still glowed softly. The house felt quieter now, but not safe. Not yet. Victor wasn't gone. He was adapting, and so were we. Morgan took my hand. Tomorrow, she said, we fight smart. I squeezed her fingers. And together. Because that was the shift. Not romance, not adrenaline. Choice, clear, deliberate, public. Victor wanted control. Instead, he forced transparency. And transparency is hard to weaponize. Morgan released my hand slowly. Go get some sleep, she said. I'll try. As I lay back on the couch, staring at the ceiling, I understood something. This wasn't just about protecting her. It was about protecting the kind of man I wanted my daughter to believe in. The kind who shows up. The kind who stays. The kind who doesn't disappear when the fight gets inconvenient. Outside, somewhere in the dark, a black SUV engine turned over. And I knew. Tomorrow wouldn't be quiet. Morning didn't bring peace. It brought headlines. By 8:12 a.m., my phone was vibrating nonstop. Group chats, work emails, a news alert. He moved fast. Victor didn't need proof. He needed noise. Morgan was already dressed when I walked into the kitchen. Navy suit, hair pulled back, armor fully restored. You've seen it, she said. Yes. She slid her phone across the counter. An anonymous source had claimed I was pressured into a romantic relationship for protection. There it was, the angle. Power imbalance, manipulation, coercion. If he couldn't control her physically, he'd try to dismantle her credibility. And use me as leverage. Board meeting at 10, she said. Emergency review. HR? Already emailed. She looked calm. Too calm. Are you okay? I asked. No, she said honestly, but I'm clear. Clear was good. Clear meant she wasn't reacting emotionally. She was strategizing. We go in together, she said. I hesitated. You're sure that's smart? Yes. Quote, Victor wants me framed as a victim, so don't look like one. The boardroom was cold, not temperature, energy, 12 faces, polished, controlled, calculating. The chairman spoke first. Miss Reed, Daniel, we need clarity. You'll have it, Morgan replied. She didn't sit at the head of the table. She sat beside me. That wasn't subtle. It was deliberate. This relationship, she continued, began after my divorce proceedings concluded and after Daniel stepped in as a witness in my restraining order case. The room shifted slightly. Facts matter. I initiated it, she added. That one landed. And I have documented consent, formal disclosure, and legal restructuring paperwork ready for submission. She slid a folder across the table. Prepared. Always prepared. One board member leaned forward. Daniel, do you feel pressured in any way? I held his gaze. No. Are you pursuing this relationship for career gain? No. Would you be willing to transfer divisions to avoid reporting conflict? Yes. Morgan's eyes flicked toward me. Small reaction. I ignored it. The chairman studied us both. And if this damages the company? Morgan answered calmly. Then the company survives truth instead of rumor. Silence, long, heavy. Then something unexpected happened. One of the older female board members cleared her throat. I've watched Morgan build this company from scratch, she said. And I've watched her endure harassment quietly for months. She looked directly at the chairman. We protect talent, not gossip. Energy shifted. Victor miscalculated. He assumed public pressure would break Morgan. Instead, it rallied some of the board behind her. The chairman finally nodded. Temporary restructuring, he said. Daniel transfers to financial strategy under interim supervision. That was the win. Clean separation, no gray area. Victor's narrative lost oxygen. But wars don't end after one battle. When we stepped out of the boardroom, Morgan finally exhaled. You didn't have to volunteer to transfer. I wanted to. You love that division. I love my daughter more. She didn't argue. Instead, she surprised me. She leaned in and kissed my cheek, right there in the hallway. Not dramatic, not theatrical, just grounded, visible. Several employees watched. Good. Transparency. The afternoon passed in structured chaos. HR interviews, signed disclosures, formal memos. Victor sent another message at 3:27 p.m. You think they'll protect you? I didn't respond. Instead, I forwarded it to the detective handling the case. Morgan walked into my temporary new office around 5. No armor now, just her. You okay? She asked. I'm fine. You lost your team today. I gained something else. She tilted her head. What? Clarity. I'm not hiding anymore. She studied me like she was seeing something settle. Daniel? Yeah? If this escalates again, it will. She didn't disagree. Then we'd take it all the way. I knew what that meant. Press conference, full documentation, public exposure. Victor wanted darkness. We'd give him floodlights. That evening, I picked Lily up from my parents' house. She ran toward me, holding a small, folded note. Daddy, I wrote something. I crouched down. What is it? Quote. She handed it over, big, uneven letters. Brave means you stay. My chest tightened. Where did you learn that? You told Grandma that on the phone, she said. I didn't remember saying it. But children absorb everything. Brave means you stay. That wasn't just advice. It was a standard. Later that night, Morgan came over. No cameras, no security guards hovering. Just her standing in my kitchen watching Lily explain dinosaur mating habits with scientific authority. Morgan laughed. Real laugh. Not controlled, not strategic. Alive. After Lily went to bed, Morgan and I sat at the kitchen table, the house quiet. You could still walk away, she said softly. I won't. You don't know what he'll do next. I know what I'll do. And what's that? I leaned back in my chair. I'll stay. Her eyes shimmered. You don't even hesitate. Because fear doesn't get to dictate my character. She reached across the table, took my hand. Daniel. Yeah? I'm not scared of him anymore. That stopped me. You're not? I'm scared of losing this. Quote. She squeezed my hand. And that's different. I understood. Victor had been control, dominance, survival. This was vulnerability. And vulnerability feels more dangerous than any threat. There was a knock at the door. Not pounding, not aggressive, just one firm knock. Morgan and I locked eyes. We both moved. I checked the camera feed. Police officer, alone. I opened the door. Mr. Wright? Yes. We've located Mr. Reed. Morgan stepped closer. What happened? He attempted to access financial records from a third-party contractor connected to your firm. My stomach dropped. Why? Looks like he was building a case for financial misconduct. Framing. He was trying to fabricate corporate scandal, the officer continued. He was detained for violating probation terms related to the restraining order. Morgan's hand tightened around mine. Detained? Yes, ma'am. He won't be out tonight. The door closed. Silence settled. Morgan leaned against the wall. He's unraveling. Yes. And dangerous. Yes. She stepped toward me slowly. Daniel? Yeah? Quote. If this ends badly, it won't. You can't promise that. No. I moved closer, but I can promise I won't disappear. Her forehead rested against mine. We stood like that. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just steady. Two adults choosing each other in the middle of chaos. Outside, the world was loud. Inside, it was quiet. And for the first time since this began, Victor wasn't circling. He was reacting, and that meant he was losing control. But losing control makes desperate men reckless, and I knew something deep in my bones. This wasn't over yet. Victor didn't unravel quietly. He detonated. The arraignment was set for Friday morning. Formal violation of probation. Attempted corporate intrusion. He thought he was smarter than everyone. He wasn't. But desperate men make desperate plays, and desperate plays don't care about consequences. Thursday night, I was at my apartment. Lily asleep. Morgan on the couch beside me. We were pretending to watch a movie. Her hand was resting in mine. Calm. Too calm. At 10:43 p.m., every light in my apartment went out. Total darkness. Morgan sat upright instantly. "That's not random," she whispered. "No." The backup hallway light flickered on. Then my phone vibrated. Unknown number. "You chose the wrong side." My heart didn't race. It steadied. Because now, it wasn't about ego. It wasn't about jealousy. It was retaliation. And my daughter was 10 feet down the hall. I checked the security app on my phone. One camera offline. Front door. "Stay here," I told Morgan. "No." "Yes." She didn't argue. She grabbed her phone and dialed 911. I moved quietly toward the door. No crashing, no shouting. Just a shadow moving past the frosted glass. Calculated. He wasn't here for drama. He was here for intimidation. I opened the door abruptly. Victor stood there. No car this time. No sunglasses. Just fury stripped down to bone. "You think you win because of paperwork?" he said softly. "Leave. This is between me and her." "No, it isn't." He looked past me into the apartment. "You brought her into your home, around your child." That was the line. That was the moment something inside me went cold. "Careful," I said quietly. "You don't scare me." "I'm not trying to scare you." Sirens wailed in the distance. Morgan stepped into the doorway beside me. She didn't hide, didn't tremble. "You don't get to weaponize my life anymore," she said. Victor's jaw tightened. "You belong to me." "No," she said calmly. "I chose differently." That word, chose. Victor lunged forward. Not dramatic, not wild, intentional. He grabbed my shirt. I didn't swing. I didn't escalate. I stepped back and let the officers tackle him from behind. He hit the ground hard, shouting, cursing, threatening. But it didn't matter, because this time, it wasn't he said, she said. It was witness. It was violation. It was arrest on private property, with intent. As they cuffed him, he locked eyes with me. "This isn't over." But it was different now. It wasn't promise. It was desperation. The squad car pulled away. Silence settled again. Morgan's breathing was steady. Mine was too. "You okay?" she asked. "Yes." "Lily?" I checked her room. Still asleep. Princess Chompers clutched tightly in her hand. Safe. When I came back, Morgan was standing in the living room, staring at the dark window. "I'm done being hunted," she said. "You are." "No. I'm done letting fear shape my decisions." She turned toward me. "Daniel, I don't want to just survive this. I want to build something after it." I stepped closer. "So build it. With you." There it was. No hesitation, no strategy, just truth. "With me?" I asked softly. "With you and Lily." I felt it settle. Not adrenaline, not rescue, commitment. "I'm not a hero," I said. "I don't want a hero," she replied. "I want a man who stays." Lily's voice drifted faintly from the hallway. "Daddy?" I moved instantly. She stood there, sleepy-eyed. "Is everything okay?" I crouched down. "Yes, sweetheart." She studied my face, then Morgan's, then nodded slowly. "Brave means you stay," she said softly. I looked at Morgan over Lily's head. She understood the weight of that sentence. It wasn't just something cute. It was legacy. Weeks passed. Victor's final sentencing came quickly. Multiple violations. Breaking probation. Harassment escalation. 5 years. No early release. This time, the system didn't bend. Morgan stepped down from direct oversight of my division permanently. Transparency remained. Professional boundaries remained. Choice remained. One evening, a month later, we stood on the same beach where this began. No board members, no black SUV, just sand and sky, and Lily building something lopsided and proud. Morgan slipped her hand into mine. "I used to think strength meant control," she said quietly. "And now?" "Now, I think it means trust." I reached into my pocket. Not dramatic, not flashy, a simple ring. "I told you I'd planned something proper," I said. Her breath caught. "Daniel, I don't promise forever because life doesn't give guarantees." I knelt anyway, "But I promise presence." I looked up at her. "I promise I will stay." Tears spilled freely down her face. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes." Lily ran toward us. "What's happening?" Morgan knelt down beside her. "Princess Chompers might need to plan a wedding," she said. Lily gasped dramatically. "I get to throw flower petals!" We laughed, and for the first time since that morning at the beach when she sat on my lap and whispered danger into my ear, there was no threat in the wind, no shadow circling, just three people standing in open light. I used to think protecting my daughter meant building walls, but I learned something. Walls keep danger out. They also keep love out. And sometimes the bravest thing a man can do is unlock the door. He stayed. And that changed everything.